Today we're going to talk about replacing the rear passenger door handle. Probably the same, nearly the same steps for the front door handles on a 2003 Acura MDX. Here are the tools that I use to the job. Trim toolkit keeps any of your skins or interior pieces from getting tore up. If you don't have one of those, I would recommend picking one up. They're pretty cheap. Otherwise, you're going to want to use something like a flathead screwdriver with a cloth around it, but you still may end up scratching some things if you go that route. So I got a 10 millimeter shallow socket and a 10 millimeter deep socket along with an extension. A couple different flathead screwdrivers and Phillips, and one of these micro, I think I used the 2 millimeter or the 2.4 millimeter flathead screwdriver. It was helpful. So these are all tools I use. We'll get into it here right now. So you can see my child hanging on it and busted it. So first of all, I'm gonna clear out any miscellaneous toys children have left in here. Next thing you want to do is right behind this door handle, there's one cover you need to remove with a flathead screwdriver to expose the screws. There's another one in here you need to uncover, expose the screws. Show that when that is not full of crumbs. You can see how that door, that little cover flips backwards, and how this cover flips. The latch is on the rounded edge. And I used one of these as a standard. Flathead would not get in there. So, starting with my plastic trim removal, I got in under this side, just pried it up softly, pried it up the top there, and the back here, pried it up a little bit. Once it started to move, I was able to lift it up, and you can see that there's a couple pressure clips. One in the back you can pop up, and once you're done you can hinge the top up. So I would pull up harder on the back first, lift it up this way, and once you're there you can just take this guy, squeeze this little guy right in there, and pull it out, and this piece will come right out. So then the next step was to take my pry tool underneath the little lock panel here. I just pried up on the bottom, a little bit on the top, and pulled out. You see it just pops out there. Next thing to do is to take my same pry tool, plastic pry tool. If you don't have one of these, like I said, a flat blade screwdriver wrapped around the cloth would probably work. Just make sure you don't damage the vinyl here. Okay. Just pry it out a little bit, in the front, and then this guy actually pulls forward, and you can see where the little tip comes out. Pull forward, and I'm just going to let this hang for the moment while I pry loose the bottom of the door skin. Now, starting to pop the door skin off gets a little tricky. Found it best to use one of these from the trim kit, getting right here at that corner and just using some force to pop it off, because as you can see, this is just held down by some pop-in clips here. So just a little bit of pressure at the right place to pop it off. Should be alright. I'm just going to continue to work around the edges of the door with the trim kit, gently popping it off. Now, once you've popped off the top right side, on the bottom, top left side, you can see it just kind of hinges there. I'm just going to remove this guy. So the idea is that this skin will lift up. I'll slide this guy through here and take it off. Now I will tell you that you probably want to be careful. There's wire connector behind there. You're going to want to disconnect once you can get your hand behind it. And from then the door skin should, in theory, slide right off. And there we go. Door skin lifted right up off the lip, right in front of the glass for the window. As I said, there was a light, just a twist and pull back. It's got a notch connection. From there, to get at the door handle, you're going to want to pop out this clip here. Actually, go right around it. Get on in, there's some adhesive you're going to want to peel back. And we'll reuse it when we're done. So I'm going to continue to pull that back carefully to get at the door handle mechanism there. So we can start replacing the outside door handle. So now that I've peeled back just enough of this plastic for the job that I need to do, we can see right in there that we have a 10mm bolt there, and you can see there's a plastic clip that goes around it. So if I pull down on it, I'm going to actually stop recording for a moment, just kind of pry it apart and push it back. That should come loose. I'll remove that 10mm bolt right to the end. And we'll check back in. Alright, so now we got that squared away. Took off the clip, took off the bolt, and then there's a little bit of stickiness, but just a little bit of force move this guy free. Now you can see he's hanging free, and I can remove that from the front, which I will. Now the other thing, and this will probably be, if I can get in here, the crux of the issue here. So this is the other side of the handle, and if we move this guy backwards, there's another 10mm bolt just on the other side of the handle. That's probably going to be the trick. So while having somebody else pull that handle back or yourself, sneak a 10mm a shallow socket on a ratchet back. You should be able to loosen that up. And one other thing, there was a pin at the bottom of this. I'll point it out with my screwdriver here in a moment. Right at the bottom, I had to get in there to just pop that pin up, because I think it's going to cause me some problems to try pulling this handle out. Right there is where you can see I already pushed it up. So you want to do that. So I'm going to get in there with this guy and just be able to pop this out. And once you've gotten that bolt just broke loose with your shallow ratchet, you could get in there with your finger and remove it. And once you remove it, this piece is gonna slide right out. And from there, you should be able to take this piece and just wiggle it out. Which I'm going to do with my free hand when I stop recording. You'll notice later on in the video that I didn't do this, but this will help you out. If you take these 3 screws out here, it'll be a lot easier to pull that door handle out. So once again, this part of the video is recorded further in the process, but I'm starting it off in the beginning so you know what mistakes not to make, which is probably why you're watching a video like this to begin with. So the actual removal is probably the trickiest part. If you see this little actuator arm here, to get it out, it really has to, you can see it swivels down. It's hard to see with my hand, but it moves down the more you pull it out. And that's the trick, is to move it out and around. Once you get in there, you'll see there's a little actuator for the actual door release. And once you do that, you pull it out, you kind of just shift it down, and you pull it straight out once again. Little tab at the very bottom there, mine's pushed all the way in. That could catch, so you want to get in there like I showed you previously with your flathead screwdriver and push that up. So now we have pieces out. There's a new one. Looks kind of similar. Let's see how that actuator arm looks on. They're a little different, but we'll slide this in. We'll put the 2 bolts in, once on the right, one on the left. We'll tighten it down. We'll see how it works. I'll show you this piece here before it goes back in. Now this has to be done once the handle's back in the door, but when I took the door off, this piece came off. So what's going to happen is this hole is going to line up where this 10mm bolt goes. So it's going to slide right in there and sit right on. With two hands, it's probably going to be a lot easier. So once the handle's inside the door, we'll slide that on, but I'm going to take it off for right now to put the handle in. So starting off here, put the new handle in. You notice we got these kind of rubber gaskets. You can see this handle overall is kind of shaped like a hinge. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put this end in first, hinge it around, and then once I get my other hand free here, I'm going to have to bend this actuator down right here to kind of put it in straight, and then you have to just wiggle it around to actually hit the actuator for the door release once we're inside.